Welcome back, everyone, to the Victory Road World Cup of Pokemon VGC. I am so excited to be here with Lou. My name is Steph Fullweiler, and Lou, you have a special guest here today.
Yeah, I do. Little Rivendell wanted to join the stream, get in on the Pokemon action for this first week of qualifiers, and it's going to be so exciting to cast alongside you, Steph. And Rivendell wanted in on that action too.
I absolutely love it. So we are here. This stream is sponsored by Elgato, Medify, and GG Tour. Thank you to our sponsors. We are so excited to be here. We've got an exciting match today. We've got Peru versus Belgium. Now, I'm really excited for this one, especially going back to last year. Peru dominated and performed extremely well in the qualifiers and the group stages. So, Lou, I am really looking forward to this. Is there something you're most excited about going into this?
I think particularly having a look at the two teams in this match, I'm really excited. Like you said, Peru has really dominated previously, so I think there's going to be a lot of eyes looking at them going into this particular match. But I certainly have my eye on some of the Pokemon on both sides. It's a really interesting match where we've got a double kind of weather. We've both got Groudons and Venusaurs apiece, so we're going to see a lot of sunshine on the battlefield. And there's also going to be the battle of the Calirexes. We've got one Calyrex Ice Rider, one Calyrex Shadow Rider. And then we have a little Gastrodon hiding around. And we all know that everybody loves the Gastrodon conversation. I got my little buddy right here. But I want to see what this Gastrodon's going to get up to versus a Regieleki. That I love Regieleki. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. It doesn't like to see a Gastrodon. And we're going to have to see which of my little secret favorite Pokemon come out on top here.
Absolutely. And taking a look at the week one standings so far between Belgium and Peru, this is a pretty high stakes match because Peru with 4 wins, just needing one more to secure that win. But if Belgium is able to take it, then Belgium is still in the running to take week one. So very interesting.
Yeah, 100%. Belgium want to try and get the equalizer out here. They played the 8 games, so Peru's still in contention to kind of, get the advantage there, go 5-3 in this. But Belgium really want to try and push and get that equalizing score 4 apiece to kind of keep that momentum steady going into the next round of competition. But it's been really interesting seeing some of the teams that have come out from a lot of our different countries here in the Victory Road World Cup.
Absolutely. I was talking about this with Jamie earlier, but one of my favorite things about the World Cup is because we have so many different countries participating, we're able to see so many different play styles, so many different favorite Pokemon that maybe, me being based over here in Toronto and you're, of course, based over in the UK, there's so many team comps I don't normally get to see until we hit, Worlds in August. So I absolutely love getting the opportunity to see something like this. And I'm just to the moon.
Yeah, it's great to see so many newcomers come out as well and kind of see Pokemon players that we haven't really been able to showcase on previous broadcasts and things like that, being able to come and show not only their kind of prowess as a Pokemon player, but also get to represent their country, which is a really cool experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to start to get a look at some of our team previews and our 2 players. So we are going to have Renzo Navarro versus Florian Patout. And it's going to be exciting. So taking a look at Renzo's credentials, 2021 Players Cup 4 champion, tons of titles under his belt right here. We've got LATAM International's top 16 regional champion and a special event champion.
Exactly. Renzo's got a whole backboard there of achievements. On the opposing side, Florian doesn't have any accolades as of yet. And that's the thing I love about these kind of storylines. This is Florian really trying to come out and make his mark in this competition. And going up against such a kind of accredited player like Renzo, that's certainly going to be an intimidating feat. But on the flip side, Renzo has no idea necessarily what Florian's playstyle is like. The teams that they've maybe favored in the past, are they more of an offensive player, or are they more defensive? Are they more calculated in how they want to play games? Are they a risk taker, for example? And that information is unknown. So kind of going into this, the mind games of player versus player are going to be really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Having the ability to spectate in advance goes so far. And let's take a look at these 2 teams. I just have to say off the bat, I love seeing a Mimikyu. Mimikyu is not one of the top used meta picks, but that cute, adorable Pokemon, a personal favorite of mine, and can be run in so many different ways. You have the Swords Dance sets, you have the ability to set up Trick Room, you have so much versatility with Mimikyu. So a bit of a fan favorite, and really interesting to see the Ice Calyrex coming here. Let me know, Lou, what are you thinking about these 2 teams?
I mean, I'm loving that Florian has gone for this Mimikyu Ice Rider Calyrex combination because it's such a disruptive set to be able to go with. If you can lead out and get that Trick Room set up, particularly against a team like Renzo's that is extremely favoring the speedier option, you know, you've got Chlorophyll, well, we're assuming it's going to be the Chlorophyll Venusaur, wanting to boost up its speed in the Sunshine. You've got the Shadow Rider Calyrex, very speedy Pokemon. And if you can somehow set the Trick Room up here and be able to start steamrolling through with things like the Glacial Lance, that's going to deal good damage to obviously Venusaur and Groudon, to the Thundurus there. You can deal still significant damage to both the Calyrex and the Gastrodon as well. You can start picking up KO after KO, which means that your Calyrex is going to be getting boost after boost, and it's going to be really difficult for Renzo to stop. So if you're Renzo at this point, you're going to be looking at that Mimikyu with a little bit of apprehension because you need to find a way to stop it from going for Trick Room. And I feel like supportive options, whether it's going to be something like a Taunt coming out from the Thundurus, maybe something like a Sleep Powder coming out from the Venusaur, are going to be the options to try and shut down that Mimikyu. But you don't know what the item is. Like you said, Mimikyu can run so many different sets and item choices. If it's Safety Goggles, then, you know, Sleep Powder's not going to do anything. So game one, you're going to have to figure that out.
There's going to be so much information to be gathered. And I believe Renzo is rocking James Evans' team, which we saw in the NAIC. So definitely a strong team over on Renzo's side as well. And yeah, I'm really excited. And, you know, we have to ask everyone watching at home, which Gastrodon is your favorite? You know, we're rocking a blue-green Gastrodon right here. And I'm very excited to get into this match.
Well, that's the thing. The Gastrodon debate will go on forever, but we all know the blue-green is the winner. You know, it's a European International Champion. It's here on the desk next to me. It's amazing, okay? We're just going to make that fact for today.
And with that, we are going to start match 3, seeing our 2 leads. A nice Suncore coming out. We've got Incineroar and Venusaur coming out versus that Mimikyu and Venusaur. So we have Venusaur v Venusaur. We're going to see that Intimidate come out, which Mimikyu is not going to like that. But we also have to remember Mimikyu will have its ability, so it's not going to be hit right away.
Yeah, Mimikyu's the one I've got my eye on here. It obviously wants to try and get the Trick Room set up for Florian, so you can assume the Calyrex Ice Rider is hiding in the back. The fact that it's led out here and we've got the Venusaur, I'm really hoping that it's carrying something like the Safety Goggles on there to be able to avoid a potential Sleep Powder, because Venusaur has the utility to be able to do this. Obviously, from our side, we do get a little sneak peek into Florian's state of play here, but we're trying to avoid it as we go through. Venusaur on Florian's side, though, as well, could easily go for something into that opposing Incineroar if it did want to go for something like a Dynamax. But depending on how Florian wants to play that, if you're committing to the Trick Room, you're going to want to maybe use the Dynamax of a Pokemon in the back that can utilize that Trick Room better than something like the Venusaur. But we're going to see some activation straight away.
Oh, we are going to see the Mimikyu swap out right here, and Groudon is going to be coming out. Groudon's definitely going to like to set this Sun right here. Ooh, very interesting swap. You know, I mean, the Incineroar typically isn't able to utilize that fake out because of the Mimikyu being on the field, and we are going to see a Dynamax, a very hyper offensive play come out. We're going to see who is that. It looks like it's going to be that Venusaur. So Venusaur immediately going to feel that nice sun effects from that Groudon, and Florian really going in for an aggressive turn 1.
Yeah, I really like this. Abandoning Trick Room mode. Let's get the Sun on the field and make my Venusaur nice and speedy. The Groudon will have to come in and take that Sleep Powder that was aiming for the Mimikyu. I think we did get a sneak peek that it isn't carrying the Safety Goggles, so wise for Florian to get it out of harm's way, as Venusaur can go for the Max Flare in the Sun and get the KO against that pesky Venusaur. Oh my goodness, what a great play, removing such a threat to help that Mimikyu later on.
What an aggressive play indeed. And we are going to see a huge Flare Blitz. That was a ton of damage. Not enough to secure the KO, but definitely don't want to see your Dynamax Pokemon this week so early on. Wow, what an aggressive turn from both players.
Yeah, I mean, that Flare Blitz, really great damage from Renzo there to get down onto that opposing Venusaur. As your Dynamax Pokemon, you want it to stay healthy on the field for as long as possible, and it's now in a really precarious position. Maybe Florian thought the fake out was going to come down into that Venusaur and just wanted to go for that Dynamax straight away. But great adjustment from Florian, just going for that speedier mode and picking up a solid KO, leaving maybe Trick Room for a late game sweep towards the end. But we're going to see the Groudon also coming in for Renzo now.
Yeah, so now we do have a Groudon v Groudon mirror match, and, you know, Renzo hasn't used that Dynamax yet, so at this point you have to kind of make that decision of, you know, are you going to stall out, or are you going to try and add that pressure as well? Right here, there's a lot of different options, and, you know, really having to pick your targets carefully, because Incineroar, if left on the field for too long, can be a huge menace, but at the same time, Groudon is an incredible threat.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think if I was Florian right now, I know I'm living on kind of borrowed time with that Venusaur. I would probably want to go and get my residual damage up. with their max Vine Lash and just try and deal a little bit of residual throughout the rest of the game while dealing significant damage to that Groudon. You know, as long as it doesn't protect or something, there's not a lot that Venusaur can do to the Incineroar here, and once Groudon wakes up, then Groudon can maybe deal with that Incineroar later on. But you just said, Steph, that there was no Dynamax on Renzo's side. Looks like he's hearing you and going, let's bring it out.
And now we have a big Groudon that has come to play. Definitely wants to keep up with this momentum. You know, it can be really tough to stall out when you have a lot of pressure, even with that Venusaur being so low on health. So Groudon is here to play. We're going to see who this Groudon targets. But first, we are going to see the Venusaur attack into the Groudon, doing just about half damage. A really large chunk right there, and the Venusaur is not going to get knocked out with that recoil damage, which is very nice, but Groudon is going to come here with a max Steel Spike and finish off the Venusaur, as well as getting a nice defense boost, both for itself and its partner Pokemon at the Incineroar. So very powerful plays coming out here.
Yeah, I really like this play by Renzo. Getting up the Dynamax as well allowed you to survive that G-Max Vine Lash, because out of Dynamax, that would have been a solid KO against it. Groudon's still going to be taking a little bit of a nap. The other key thing with Renzo here is going for this Incineroar with the parting shot. You're now able to start going for some repositioning, at the same time really weakening what this Groudon is capable of doing when it wakes up from its little nap. The defense boots are coming out on Renzo's side. It's now had its attack dropped as well by that parting shot, and no doubt will be intimidated a little bit later on in the game if Renzo plays his cards right. So this poor Groudon is looking to be a little bit of kind of a lost cause here for Florian, and Florian's going to need to find a way to switch it back out and wake it up at some point in the match, as Renzo utilizes the parting shot to bring in that Calyrex.
Yeah, really, really great plays. And, you know, that Calyrex is going to be taking damage, which is not great if it is indeed a Focus Sash. We'll still have to see the item to be said. Taking that Vine Lash is not going to be fun. But yeah, as you said, this poor Groudon is a little bit of dead weight here, as, you know, it's going to have to get moved around, or it really just can't do anything. And as it continues to get nerfed, Mimikyu is going to come back out onto the field, so we are seeing a bit of positioning here. But I'm really not envious of Florian having to move around with this Groudon.
Yeah, definitely not. And Mimikyu's certainly in a dangerous spot as well. Something like the Astral Barrage is going to come out nice and speedy. That's going to be able to break the disguise on Mimikyu. And Groudon wants to follow up with a powerful Max Steel Spike there, as it's already been revealed. That's going to really hurt Mimikyu as well. At the same time, Groudon's being really clever here. These Max Steel Spikes, even if they don't necessarily get the KOs, getting those defense boosts up, knowing that all Florian really has is physical Pokemon, is going to really help out towards the end game here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is the interesting question here of, is this Mimikyu going to try and go for the Trick Room? You know, is this a position where, you know, you just have to continue to get more information? It's tricky, but I definitely don't think that it's over. So we are going to see right here, the Calyrex is going to go for that Spectral Barrage onto both Pokemon. We're going to see how much damage it does. Not too much on to the Groudon, and there is that disguise getting broken, as you said earlier, Lou. So we are going to see what happens here. The Groudon is going to go for another Max Steel Spike, continuing to bulk up its defenses. Ooh. There goes the Mimikyu. That's tough. Maybe that Mimikyu was going to go for a Trick Room, but unfortunately did not live long enough to see the day. Tough one.
Yeah, really, really tough there. Poor little Mimikyu, not able to get up the Trick Room that would have been so helpful going into the latter stages of this match. And now Florian's really just stuck with the Groudon on the field that Incineroar has already to give the parting shot to. There's defense boosts on Renzo's side of the field. There's not a lot that Groudon can do, even when it does finally wake up. And now Florian is forced to bring in the Calyrex Ice Rider from the back outside of Trick Room. Another Astral Barrage is going to deal huge damage, and then Groudon can just follow up again with a Max Steel Spike, or really anything at this point, to remove that Calyrex from play. And like we've already mentioned, Groudon's not too much of a threat. I really think the hero was that Venusaur at the beginning for Renzo. You know, it did get KO'd very early on, but not before it could get that Sleep Powder off. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, Calyrex Ice is a huge threat, but outside of Trick Room, it's not going to be able to have a chance to really move much. And so we are going to see a Protect come in here, great Protect coming in from the Calyrex, and we're going to see that Spectral Barrage going to come in, but we're going to see how much damage it does to this Groudon, which again, this Groudon unfortunately not able to do much this game. Very quickly and easily nerfed, so it is going to do a bit of damage. So Groudon isn't done just yet, but we are going to see the Max Steel Spike come in to that Calyrex. Thanks to the Protect, it's going to do next to no damage. But again, this Groudon is now at +3 defense boost, and so it is hugely strong, and this is a tough match. So I totally agree, this is some tough positioning here.
Yeah, definitely. That Groudon's certainly very bulky as it finishes its 3 Dynamax turns. You finally do see the Groudon on Florian's side wake up though, but oh, Steph, look how small that damage is. Poor Groudon just doesn't have it in it at the minute at the end of this match.
Yeah, that did not do as much damage at all. And so as those Dynamax turns come to an end, you know, at this point, I think it's trying to get as much information as you can for that next game.
Yeah, I mean, we did get to see on Florian's side, thanks to Max Steel Spike, going through Protect, that it is carrying that weakness policy, which has been an incredibly common item on Calyrex Ice Rider. We see it a lot. We actually saw it a lot in the junior division at European International Championships and at the North American International Championships, where that synergy between Calyrex and Mimikyu could be so expertly displayed in Trick Room. If you can get your Trick Room up, have Calyrex next to Mimikyu and go for that cheeky side Shadow Sneak, get your weakness policy up, place your Lance, KO, it's just amazing what Ice Rider Calyrex can be capable of doing, but Renzo was able to really shut it down and apply pressure on that Mimikyu, stopping Florian from being able to get the strategy up that he wanted. You can see here the Astral Barrage is going to come out and do a huge amount of damage to the Calyrex, putting both Groudon and Calyrex on Florian's side just one Precipice Blades away from being KO'd, but it's not going to be Precipice Blades this time.
Oh, definitely not. And so there goes that Groudon, and we have now a little Calyrex versus the world. We're gonna see that Vine Lash come out. It's not gonna be enough to KO this Calyrex right here, and I don't think that Vine Lash is going to as well. Very close, but not quite able to get that knockout right here. So yeah, you know, look how weak everyone is, but unfortunately without that Trick Room, not able to go first right here. So a lot of really great information going into this game too, and sometimes it's great just to keep playing it out and seeing, you know, how you're going to adjust going into the next match. You can oftentimes use this time in these final matches of a game 1 to think about your game 2 ahead and how you're going to switch things up.
Definitely, just taking that extra time to think through a strategy, or even just take the minutes to kind of regain your composure can really make the difference going into the next match. But I mean, you could really see those defense boosts paying off for Renzo there. The poor Calyrex wasn't able to pick up a KO against either of these Pokemon, and even if it had been able to, we know Renzo has that Incineroar hiding in the back that could just come and deal with that Calyrex really easily if it rejoined the field. So really great to see game 1 going to Renzo there. I think despite the fact that at the beginning Florian was really changing the dynamics, applying Trick Room pressure, and then suddenly, hey, speedy time, let's go and remove your Venusaur from the field, Renzo was able to actually think, what's the end game going to look like and how can I prepare for it? Get the defense boosts up, neutralize that opposing Groudon, and was able to take game 1 because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So well said. Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, I want to see this Mimikyu get more of a chance to shine. I'm very curious to see going into this game too. But that is, you know, the thing about Trick Room. And, you know, it's been interesting to see the meta shift, because especially when a new meta comes out, you see Trick Room be so prevalent. And then as these tournaments go on, Trick Room kind of dissipates, because if opponents can prepare for them and find ways around them, then it takes extra setup. But when you're able to, especially now as we get closer to, you know, Worlds in August and, you know, being in Series 12 meta, we get to see a bit of a resurgence of Trick Room, but it's all about being able to set it up and position around your opponent and seeing who is able to kind of take it on top. So really excited to go into this next round and see how are our leads going to adjust and our players.
Yeah, I would love to see an adjustment there, bringing out the Mimikyu next to the Incineroar perhaps, because then at least with the Incineroar, you can apply that fake up pressure to the opposing Venusaur and just go, hey, no sleep powder shenanigans here, let's just get the Trick Room set up. And then even if the Venusaur maybe wants to then Dynamax and try and KO the Mimikyu, you know, the partner Pokemon breaking the disguise potentially, it might still be able to survive and you remove that sleep powder threat. But it looks like it's going to be the same leads coming out on the opposing side with the Incineroar and the Venusaur, but there is that adjustment I was just talking about.
Yeah, there it is right there. Incineroar able to better help this Mimikyu and help ensure maybe getting a Trick Room up or seeing how it's going to go. We're going to see the Intimidates come out, which is great for seeing the speeds of the Incineroar, seeing if it's a speed tie or depending on how they're EV to different speeds right there. So yeah, Lou, if it were you right now, how are you feeling with this new lead adjustment?
I'd be feeling a lot more confident. You can go for the fake out straight down into that Venusaur and just stop it going for Sleep Powder. Sure, if it wants to Dynamax, it's still going to be able to deal some big damage, but I'm unsure if between Incineroar and the Venusaur, you're going to be able to deal with the Mimikyu, because whichever Pokemon moves first is going to break that disguise, and I don't think Venusaur or Incineroar are capable, once that disguise is broken, of removing Mimikyu by itself, unless you're going to get some kind of rogue critical hit here. You know, if the Incineroar is carrying something like a rogue taunt, we know the item on that Mimikyu. It's going to be able to shake that off with the Mental Herb. So I think this is a little bit more exciting for Florian. I would definitely be clicking that Trick Room button. We are going to see the activation happen here from that Venusaur as the Incineroar on the opposing side goes for his fake out into Florian's.
Yep, there is that fake out. That's going to be big avoid. That's huge. What a turn. Okay, so much has just happened right there. The big avoid, Trick Room able to successfully successfully go off. Wow, Lou. Wow, what a play right there.
Oh, I mean, my heart was in my mouth in that second. The Incineroar winning the speed tie on Renzo's side meant the Venusaur was technically free to go for that sleep powder. It didn't have to worry about getting a fake out from the fake outed Incineroar. But Mimikyu was able to dodge out the way, being like, no, my trainer has not thought through the lead adjustment for game 2 for this to happen. You know, I'm going to do a solid here, and I'm going to be able to kind of get that Trick Room up. And now Florian is in a really great position. You can easily switch around things with that Incineroar if you wanted to go for something like a parting shot, try and get out and bring in the Calyrex from the back. And if you're Mimikyu here, you can, you know, start going for a little bit of damage. Incineroar really has all the utility options here.
Yeah, and now being in Renzo's position, you're really going to want to have to stall out these Trick Room turns coming here. We're going to see these swap into Groudon right here. So Groudon is going to set the sun, which is definitely not going to work in Renzo's favor right now with that chlorophyll ability. So we are going to see, and the boosted fire move going into that Venusaur thanks to the sun, able to get a one-hit knockout. So goodbye, Venusaur. Didn't have a chance to last very long right there. And so we're going to take a decent amount of recoil damage, but probably very worth it. We're going to see a parting shot come in from the Renzo's Incineroar, and now going to be able to pivot into one of the Pokemon in the back. Here's where we get to see if there is someone different waiting in the back than in game 1.
Yeah, I really like this adjustment by Florian. Bringing in the sun not only then meant that the Venusaur, you know, sparing one of its item activations, was going to be able to go really, really slow and boosted up the firepower of that particular Incineroar's Flare Blitz as well. You know that it isn't carrying a Focus Sash on that opposing Venusaur, so you can get the one-hit KO against it. Renzo does now, like you've mentioned, have the opportunity to do a lot of ball positioning. You've lost a KO and you have the parting shot. So you can really take your time and think, hey, how do I want this endgame to look now, considering that certainly Florian has the advantage. The Calyrex Shadow Rider is going to come in. Bit of a precarious situation for it at this point. Doesn't want to face down against Incineroar or the Groudon, particularly as it is going to be really slow at this point in time.
Yeah, that's a really tough one. You definitely don't want to see Calyrex here under Trick Room, and we're going to see the Incineroar come out, though, to kind of help support and continue to stall out these turns. Florian in a very, very strong position. We are going to see the Intimidate come out and also weaken the Groudon as well as that Incineroar, both being physical attackers.
Yeah, if you're Florian now, you have to start thinking about the Trick Room turns because you don't want them to expire before you're able to capitalize on it. And Renzo is, you know, going to be able to play defensively here. You've got fake out pressure on the field again with the Incineroar. You have, you know, some protects that you can start rolling through. So if you're Florian, you maybe want to try and get your Dynamax up here at some point and just start dealing out big, big damage while Renzo is forced to play a little bit more defensively because otherwise you're going to get into a position where Trick Room's over and then you're going to be sitting in a little bit more of a dangerous spot. So I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see the Groudon go for a Dynamax here. I think it's too risky to bring in on a hard switch either the Calyrex or the Mimikyu with that Calyrex on Renzo's side on the field. But then again, if you predict that Calyrex is going to go for its Protect in this turn, why not be brave and try and switch one in? And we are going to see the Incineroar switch out, Steph.
We absolutely are. So it's about to go down. Mimikyu is coming out to play. We are going to see that Protect come in. So there is a bit of a read right there. And we are going to see another parting shot go into this Groudon, continue to try and weaken and allow for a pivot. So we are going to see who's going to come back out here. So very interesting. Bit of a passive turn here. So not opting to go for that Dynamax. And the Trick Room turns are ticking. So we are going to see Renzo's Groudon come out to play now. This is, very interesting turn here.
Yeah, Calyrex wisely going for the Protect here. The Precipice Blade is going to come out, find its mark on the opposing Groudon that switched in, but the Parting Shot going to really dwindle the offensive pressure that it can deal. I mean, if you're Mimikyu here, you have two options, really. You can either go for something like the Shadow Sneak into that opposing Calyrex. It's still going to deal significant damage and chip away at it, leaving it more vulnerable going forward. But you could also go for something like the Will-O-Wisp into that opposing Groudon and kind of neutralize its defensive pressure as well. This is the key thing with Mimikyu. It can be very flexible in the different things you need it to do. And particularly considering you've got your Groudon out in the field, again, you know, it's got the Assault Vest as well. It's not going to be worried about taking these Astral Barrages. It can maybe just start dealing with a little bit of chip against Calyrex in its own right while you try and go for the burn onto that opposing Groudon. But at the same time, the Trick Room turns are running out, and I really want this Calyrex to have its moment. Otherwise, Florian's going to be stuck in the same situation he was in game 1, where it just unfortunately had the speed disadvantage and was able to be KO'd.
Yeah, I'm really worried going into this because, you know, it seems like Florian does want that nice Trick Room for, it looks like maybe an Ice Calyrex Dynamax here, especially with that nice weakness policy that the Calyrex is rocking. But is that going to be possible? So we are going to see a swap in. So lots and lots of pivoting going on right now, and Zoro is going to be coming out back to play. and going to be nerfing that Mimikyu as well as that Incineroar. So if this Mimikyu is going to go on the offensive, which we're about to find out right now, oh, it does not affect the Incineroar. Unfortunate. Great swap in right here.
Yeah, Renzo really making all the great reads here, you know, bringing in the Incineroar in the face of that Will-O-Wisp, not going to be dealing anything, allowing the Calyrex the opportunity to break the disguise on that Mimikyu, leaving it really vulnerable going forward. You know, if you're Renzo at this point, your goal in this match has been stall out the Trick Room and then deny Florian from being able to set it up again. And by targeting down this Mimikyu at this point, you're going to be putting in your measures to try and stop that from happening. Florian, again, has got the two Pokemon out on the field that really aren't the heavy hitters at this point. You know, Mimikyu is a lot more supportive. Incineroar, yes, it can deal some good damage to something like the Calyrex, but Calyrex has just gone for a move. It could easily go for a Protect at this point, and then there's not really a lot Incineroar can do. So maybe Florian needs to use this turn to position up to try and see, hey, how am I going to be able to get Trick Room up again? But with Calyrex being a Ghost-type Pokemon and, you know, immune to Fake Out, there's not a lot that can be done to protect Mimikyu from an Astral Barrage.
Yeah, the game is definitely not over yet, but it is definitely going to be tough to be able to be in a position to re-get that Trick Room up. You know, thinking back on that opportunity, was it possible to Dynamax? You know, that might have been, you know, that momentum that was needed from Florian. But we are going to see Renzo come out here and Dynamax right now, be the first of this game to Dynamax here. We're going to see the Shadow Calyrex. Ooh, indeed. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we don't. We do get to see from time to time a giant Calyrex, but not so often.
Yeah, really nice to see this out on the battlefield at the moment. Definitely going to be able to hit a very hard attack. Groudon's going to fall victim to the Fake Out, however, as the Mimikyu does go for, I believe it's a Shadow Sneak there. My French is not the best, but able to, you know, break a potential Focus Sash there. But, you know, Mimikyu's gone for a little teeny bit of damage onto that Calyrex, and Calyrex is like, let me show you how Ghost moves are supposed to look, and just completely obliterates Mimikyu.
There is so much pressure coming out from this Calyrex, as well as getting that special attack boost. Oh my goodness. And there was the end of Trick Room right there. So now Incineroar is going to come out, but, you know, not able to fake out a Dynamax nor a Ghost-type Pokemon. So, you know, Renzo recognizing that Shadow Calyrex is looking really great right now as a Dynamax candidate. And so, you know, despite this Intimidate, it's not going to be able to do much to kind of stop this horse.
Yeah, I mean, Incineroar's a great Pokemon to be able to apply a lot of pressure to something like the Calyrex if it is rocking like a Dark-type move, but Incineroar has got its health kind of dwindled at this point. Calyrex has just got a special attack boost as well, so it's certainly in a position where maybe it could pick up a KO against that Incineroar before it's able to go for a Darkest Lariat. If you're Florian, you might think, hey, I could Dynamax up this Incineroar just to get the double HP boost on it, and then deal significant damage with the something like the Max Darkness there to be able to pick up a KO against the Calyrex. But it is risky. Do you want to really Dynamax your half HP Incineroar? I mean, you've got to try and win out the game, right?
Yeah, that's a really tough call to make. We're going to see the opposing Groudon on Renzo's side come back out, and yeah, I think we're going to see it. The Dynamax Incineroar, you know, you have to play to your outs, and it's really going to come down to if this Incineroar with that doubled HP can survive an attack right here, but you know, it is going to be boosted, going to be able to do a lot more damage output, and I think it might be able to get this KO on this Calyrex if it's able to survive. So I'm on the edge of my seat right here. Oh, but the Max going! Renzo reading this possibility, and oh my gosh, all right, going to not be damaged at all this turn. Groudon is going to do a decent amount of damage over to Renzo's Groudon, but wow, what a good play.
Oh, that was amazing from Renzo there. Going for not only the Max Guard, but bringing in the Groudon, being like, hey, I'm committing to the fact that you're going to Dynamax your Incineroar. I'm going to pin you down with a Groudon that can deal with Incineroar. Easy peasy. So really, really great play there. Incineroar's not looking as confident as it was when it hit that Dynamax button.
Wow, I'm flabbergasted by that incredible read, and to have the courage to really go for, you know, when you're having Pokemon Dynamax like that, you know, Dynamax is such a crucial aspect of this game, and you want to maximize each of your turns. So when going for a Max Guard and opting for that, you know, you have to be really confident. And so I am in awe, and I'm very curious to see how this is going to go through, and is this Incineroar going to be able to get this knockout? Both players are really playing around each other so well.
Yeah, well, Incineroar's going, I'm going to take a leaf out of your book, and I'm going to max guard as well. The Calyrex, however, goes for the max Phantasm into the opposing Groudon, not able to pick up the KO. The Assault Vest coming in really, really handy against a boosted Calyrex here, and it does allow Florian then the opportunity to go for something like the Precipice Blades here, try and deal as much damage as possible at this point. But it looks like the Groudon on Renzo's side is going to be going first, and gets the Precipice Blades onto the Groudon, KO straight away, and Florian is now down to just 2 remaining Pokemon.
Wow, yeah, really, really great play right there. Oh my gosh, we are going to see that Ice Calyrex come out as well. So now we have 2 pretty powerful forces out here. So again, you're going to have to kind of pick and choose your targets. And that was a nice clean switch in right here. That does finish off that Dynamax turn for the Calyrex on Renzo's side. So yeah, oh man, this is a tough spot.
Yeah, it's definitely looking a little bit difficult here for Florian. You do still have your Dynamax Incineroar though, and that can certainly apply a lot of pressure with the Max Darkness down into the opposing Calyrex, or possibly you can try and get some good damage onto that opposing Groudon. Calyrex is a Pokemon that can deal with Groudon, but it has to take damage from the Ghost Rider, the Shadow Rider, Calyrex first of all, and those Ghost type moves are going to be dealing. I mean, I'm pretty sure at this rate, because it has got the boost as well, the Calyrex on Renzo's side can get the one-hit KO against Calyrex on Florian's side. So unfortunately, the speed tiers are just in Renzo's favor, and that just gives him all the momentum he needs to try and close out this game too.
Yeah, absolutely. See, with that incredible speed, yep, there it is. Huge knockout, one-hit KO onto that Calyrex, just especially with those attack boosts. Oh my gosh, and continuing to get another attack boost as well. So there's a huge knockout, not looking so hot. And then Incineroar is going to be taken out by the Groudon. It was a really nice try, but Renzo able to close out this game 2 as well as this set, giving the win over to Peru.
Yeah, huge congratulations there to Renzo and Peru, which means they're actually now at the point where they are 5 wins in this particular qualifying round. So they have managed to gain the advantage here. So well done to Peru at this point. But Renzo, I think, really just showing off why he is such a well-accredited player. He's got that kind of skill to make those reads, run all those deductions in his mind before the timer runs out, something I always struggle with, and just being able to make those phenomenal plays. So incredibly well done.
Absolutely. GG's to both our players. You know, going back to this game, you know, I think it's really tough when you go in with, say, a certain mindset and a certain Dynamax candidate in mind. And I think something that Florian might have struggled with a little bit is deciding, you know, who is going to be my Dynamax candidate. And, you know, there was a really great positioning with that Trick Room initially, but, you know, trying to kind of get that perfect spot that you want to be in sometimes can end up being to your detriment. And so, you know, like you had mentioned during the match, you know, I think choosing a different Dynamax candidate in that moment, going for that Groudon potentially as a Dynamax over that Calyrex could have changed the tides, but really good positioning either way and play from both players. And it was a really fun match to see.
Yeah, it was certainly a really good match to be able to watch. And we have to also just go back onto the main topic of Gastrodon, which technically won the match, even though Gastrodon wasn't there. The, you know, green and blue Gastrodon was victorious. So any of those doubters out there should realize the superiority of green-blue Gastrodon.
Absolutely. Well, Lou, it was such a pleasure casting with you at this match. We're going to take a quick break and be back with our final match for today's stream with the Week 1 qualifier. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you very soon.